Hey guys. Hey guys. You might be noticing something new about my complexion. It might be my skin. I'm auditioning for a place in The Price is Right. If you guys know where I should email about that. I've been kind of looking, couldn't really find anything. But I wanted to make sure my skin looked alright. I've been doing a lot of Pilates, been doing a lot of yoga, been doing a lot of Krav Maga. Those three things, very important to me personally. The topic we're talking about has nothing to do with any of this. I want all my little sugar babies to know Daddy's been practicing. You don't get muscles like these from sitting around doing nothing, buying toys. It's not what I do. I go to work every day. Yoga, Pilates, Krav Maga, wood mill, every day. This is the worst way I possibly could have started this video. So I've been a little miffed lately. I recently just finished the show Modern Family on Netflix. And I have some things I would like to talk to you guys about. I know literally no one gives a shit about what I'm about to say, but I wanted to talk about it. I thought it could be funny to record my thoughts. The first thing you gotta know about me is the fact that ever since like middle school, I have a tradition where I would find some kind of show, whether it be Friends, The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, one of those three shows, where I will sit down and I will casually enjoy it, I will binge it. Netflix has given me that right, and normally I don't like binging shows like that, but when they're easy to digest comedy shows, sitcoms, it's much, much easier to get into it for me. At least that's just me. I know some people hate sitcoms, and I don't blame you. Sitcoms for me are just super easy to consume and watch. I actually genuinely love The Office. I think it's a great show. I know it's a bit of a meme to be like, oh, The Office.
You're such a basic bitch. You like The Office? Why don't you watch Breaking Bad?
I have watched Breaking Bad. It's actually quite a good show. It's actually one of my favorite TV shows of all time. But it's not something I can just turn on and be like, just casually watch. It's something like, I need something simple that's not gonna make me want to cry. Brooklyn Nine-Nine's a good one because it's so simple. Say what you will about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's not the funniest show on planet Earth, but what I love the most about Brooklyn Nine-Nine is the character of Charles Boyle. He is the greatest character in that entire show. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, he even looks exactly like me. Can we get a side-by-side? That's what I thought. Genuinely, I find his character hilarious. Like, that is my favorite part of the show, hands down. Friends is a really guilty pleasure. I started watching it back in middle school, and I've seen it probably 5 times. It's really embarrassing. It doesn't hold up the best, obviously. Probably not as good as something like Seinfeld. I've never seen Seinfeld, I know, kill me. So overall, I do like sitcoms. I like the simple comedy that they can make. There are sometimes really clever jokes, but the show we're talking about today is Modern Family is a show. A modern show. About a modern family. See? You guys get it now. It's one of the shows that I've known that has existed for a very long time now, and for the life of me, I've just never given it a shot. It's been on TV a couple times. I remember watching it and actually laughing and be like, oh, this is funny. I would like to watch it all one day. And sure enough, I was browsing Netflix one day, and there it was, the entire series. So the automatic appeal for me was the idea of watching this family grow up, real life over time, watching them kind of grow and become new people, have kids of their own, raise their own families. That's what I was expecting the show to be. I was not correct. Well, I kind of was correct, but not in any sort of satisfying way. I was extremely let down by this show because, yes, it's a comedy, and I know that that is kind of to be expected. It's not going to be like the greatest show on planet Earth, but I even found it like worse than any other show that I've seen up to this point, including something like Friends. I got way more enjoyment out of something like Friends than I did Modern Family. That's for damn sure. Maybe I'm nitpicking too hard. Maybe this is a little too like Renzo, why are you complaining about Modern Family? It's 2021. What is it? Why? And I know it's kind of stupid, but I had some thoughts and I just wanted to talk about it because I'm a fan of TV, I'm a fan of movies. I have a very soft spot in my heart for shows like this, so when I watched this show, begrudgingly finished the entire series, I felt very empty and just underwhelmed with what I was presented. Basically, they set you up with these 3 individual families, and you're like, okay, how are they going to be related to each other? I figured they were just going to be 3 random families, and I was like, I am down for that. But no, they're all related. It's kind of underwhelming. You're like, oh, that's all it is? I was kind of expecting it to literally just be 3 individual stories focused on 3 individual people. No, it's all one family. Whatever. The reveal of it was actually pretty clever. Everyone's talking about how they have this big family event and how they're going to do things for their families, and you're like, oh, these guys are all family men. But they're all kind of biased, they're all kind of have their own little dramas and stuff, and then they get together for the first episode, and it's this big crazy event, everyone's saying hello. However, what you're going to start to notice about the show the more and more you watch it is that there's nothing like that will ever be happening that is interesting. Basically, they don't ever feel like they grow in any tangible way. The moment a character starts to grow, it's just gone. It will cease to be. It's definitely the zombie Simpsons phenomenon where the show went on for way too long to the point where these characters became caricatures of themselves. And I hate when that happens in shows because when you have a character, you want them to be consistent and not feel like, why are you acting like this? That's not the way you should be acting. Like I said, the show ran on for a very long time, so it makes perfect sense that that even happened in the first place. But it's kind of annoying, especially when you want these people to feel like real people that you can actually genuinely form a connection to. Speaking of people you can form connections to, so as mentioned before, the show focuses on 3 individual families, that being the Dunphy family, the Pritchett family, and the gay family. Mitch and Cam, the gay guys. Someone's gonna take that out of context, actually, you little creeps. Let's start off with the Dunphy family first, because I think I have the most to say about them. Phil Dunphy, Claire Dunphy, Haley Dunphy, Alex Dunphy, shoot, what's his name? The kid. Am I actually... Luke Dunphy. I can't believe I actually forgot his name for a second. It's the most basic of the families. It is literally the most stereotypical, but that's obviously... It's a nice, easy way into the show, so I don't blame them for making that decision. We should start off with Claire because I think I have the most to say about her. Claire is one of the most unlikable characters in the entire show. She's very much the standard Monica of the show where she's this super, very high-maintenance mom. She's also a bit of a MILF. They make that very clear early on that she's like the hot mom that everyone wants to bang. That's like not even a joke, I'm pretty sure. There's literally a shot in like one of the early seasons where she's like in her underwear and she's like bending over and there's like a guy on Skype and he's like,
I can see your breasts, ma'am. Whoa, you got a hottie, mom.
It's a very clear thing. I don't like when shows do that because it completely undermines the character and just makes it all about their looks. It's kind of obnoxious, and it's no different here. She's just a really annoying character, though, and a lot of the drama from their family specifically results of her being too overprotective of her children. One of the episodes, for example, is her trying to find out one of her kids are watching porn. And to do that, she's like looking through diaries without even a second thought. She doesn't even think about it. She's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna search through my kid's private property. I'm gonna read your journals. I'm gonna figure out who's watching porn. Turns out, Phil, the dad, is watching porn. That's the joke. Ha ha ha. It's funny. I just did not, I could not stand her character for the life of me. She was so annoying, and whenever she was on screen, she made me want to pull my damn eyes out. She's pretty much a stay-at-home mom, and then they realized, oh, we actually need to make her do stuff. So, I don't know, give her a job at a closet company. Make her a closet CEO, because that's funny. Because her dad's a closet CEO, too, so it's cool. I'm not even joking when I say this, but Phil Dunphy is unironically my favorite character in the entire show. He is essentially the best goofy dad character I've seen in a long time. Everything from the way he delivers his lines to the very genuine love that he seems to have for his family is so wholesome. I absolutely loved his character. There were times, like again, Zombie Simpsons, where they completely ruined his character by making him selfish or greedy. He was never like that originally. He was very caring towards other people. All he literally wanted was for everyone to like him. And he was such a lovable goofball. He's into magic. He likes inventing shit too. Like he's always making like weird inventions. He has a great bond with Luke that I really enjoyed because the two are kind of like this dynamic duo. At least originally. They definitely kind of threw that out of the window as soon as Luke became a much different character. But Phil was incredible though. I absolutely adored his character. Easily my favorite character in the entire show. Whenever he was on screen, I was just like, I want to be following whatever you are doing 100%. Haley's pretty bad. She's just the stereotypical, like, white daughter. She's just like, I like makeup. I text all the time. I like boys. I drive my car. I'm very cool. They try to make her a little bit more subtle later on, but it never works out. She, like, tries to get into fashion, and that doesn't go anywhere, ever, I don't think. No, not really. It doesn't really go anywhere. And they don't do anything with her character. They were gonna do something that I'll talk about in a bit. She goes to college for like an episode, and that was like the best part of her entire character, and then they threw that out very, very quickly, and it was bad. It was not good. So Alex Dunphy, the second daughter, her entire gag is, I'm smarter than all of my family. That is the entire joke. If you think it is going to get old after 11 seasons, it will, because it does. It is the most bored, tiresome thing in the entire show, watching her go like, I'm so smart, I'm smarter than my family. And you'd think she'd be likable, you'd think she'd be understanding and caring about her family, but she's just a bitch. Like, she clearly gets that from her mom. She is like easily one of the most unlikable characters in the entire show. She has these like extreme fits of anger and rage, and I was just like, why am I following this character? She's completely unlikable. You're expected to love this family, but most of these characters are horrible to each other. Not just each other, but to like random people, to just anyone. Luke, I actually liked Luke to begin with because he was just meant to be like the cute, dumb kid. And that gag lasted a good couple seasons. It worked for a bit, and I did like how he was the second-hand man to Phil. They were very much a team, and I like that. But then the show goes on, and Luke grows up, and he just kind of becomes a dumb idiot who wants to bang every woman. That's his entire character. He's always talking about how he can bang girls. Like, he's presented to have a lot of game for some reason. Like, why? Wouldn't it have been funnier if he just never ever banged? Wouldn't it be 10 times funnier if he was just this really cocky kid who just was really pent up and just wanted to bang? I feel like that gag would be way funnier, but no, he's just this player that every girl loves apparently. But that's the Dunphys, and the Dunphys are a very mixed bag. I only really like Phil, to be honest. The Pritchetts are interesting. So Jay Pritchett is the dad of the family. He is the father of Claire Pritchett, who's the wife of the Dunphy family. He's kind of the main connecting factor between these two families. I actually really liked Jay at first because he had this kind of very self-aware, like, mocking tone to him. Like, he was very like, oh, I'm old and I kind of know everything. He was a very stubborn character, and that's what I liked about him at first. But as the show went on, they really emphasized his old features. He became a lot more senile and kind of stupid, and that's when I think his character started to fall apart. I actually really enjoyed a lot about Jay. In fact, I think his actor does a pretty good job at selling this character, but the older he gets, the more I was like, this is not funny anymore. He's usually the voice of reason. In every episode, he'll basically be like, all right, family, get together, I'm gonna give you a dramatic talk, or he'll always have some kind of dramatic backstory thing where he's like,
when I was young and I fought in Nam, I had a friend named Binky. Binky was very cool, and he looked exactly like your guys' friends, and that's why I don't celebrate Christmas no more.
That's a horrible impression of him. When I was young, I thought that no, I can't do it. He's alright, he's not bad, but he does get really obnoxious later on, but at first he's not bad. The main thing about Jay is that he basically divorces his actual wife. He hooks up with frickin' Sofia Vergara, Vigina, or Gloria. And Gloria is, in my opinion, the worst character in the entire show. Even worse than Claire. At least Claire could have moments of levity where she genuinely cared about her family. Gloria tries that and fails so damn hard. You'd imagine the take on, I'm leaving my wife for this hot Latino babe. That's another angle. They constantly make the fact that she's like the hottest girl on planet Earth. It's like constant. It's like every guy, whenever they see her, is like,
you're dating that beautiful goddess?
It's like, yeah, the joke gets old really fast when everyone is like, you are the hottest person on planet Earth. Yes, she's hot, but that's besides the point. She makes me want to gouge my eyes out, though. Her voice is nails on chalkboard, and I know that's an easy approach, but it really is one of the most annoying things to listen to. Especially when a lot of the show is her yelling at people. She's very underhanded. She's constantly lying to her husband. She's constantly lying to her family. She's constantly threatening people. There's this gag. They end up making her out to be a murderer a lot of the times, like that she has this really shady past where she can get these connections to like kill people. It's not exactly what happens, but it's implied many times that that's what she does. She has a very negative personality. Whenever she's on screen, I'm like, oh god, here we go. Here comes Gloria, my favorite character, because she just yells at people. Manny, on the other hand, her child, is actually a character I thought was okay. Some of the gags later on, I'm saying some of the gags later on, I'll get into that in a second. The show definitely has a very steep decline in terms of like how characters are written, and I do have a couple theories towards that, but I don't want to just throw them out. I'll get into that in a bit. Manny's written as very similarly to Alex. He's written to be a kid who is much smarter than someone of his age. Why? Because it's funny to have kids being written like that. It's funny. It's haha. It's funny because we can't actually write kid characters, so we're just gonna write them like adults and hope it works out, and it will, because people will laugh. People will be like, that's not how kids talk. It's funny. But Manny was usually pretty good. He had very high spirits about everything. He was never usually very negative. He always was very supportive towards his family, and I like that a lot about him. There was some weird shit. He had a crush on Haley or whatever. That was weird, but whatever. That was just another early thing. Oh, I should probably mention the Pritchetts get a dog named Stella, and she lives for like the rest of the entire show. Clearly just because they're like, oh, we need a dog because we need like cute appeal. And then even later on, they decide to have another kid named Joe. He has no discernible feature other than the fact that he's got big bug eyes and weird hair. Mitch and Cam. Cam is the outlier. He comes from a different family. He comes from Missouri. That's a lot of his gags are like, he comes from Missouri and he used to be a cowboy. That's a lot of his joke, or like a cow rancher or whatever. He lived on a farm. That's a lot of his jokes. He's very over the top and very sensitive. I did find him quite obnoxious sometimes, but a lot of the times it didn't actually bother me. It could be pretty held back a lot of the times, and I was glad for that. I was expecting it to be a lot more extreme, and sometimes it is, but sometimes but for the most part, it's kept pretty on the down low. Mitch, however, is part of the Pritchett family. It's Jay's kid and the brother of Claire. He was also not too bad either. I found him much more tolerable than Cam, actually. The problem with these two is their dynamic. They are constantly lying to each other, and again, that is not entertaining to watch. They are both incredibly terrible people. Literally every episode with them involved a conflict that mainly started because Cam would hear something and then he would lie to his husband about, and then Mitch would hear something and then he would lie to his husband about it. It was the most like, why are you both lying to each other? It was a horrible relationship to watch unfold. It felt genuinely dirty. I was like, do you want to write these characters like this? It's really obnoxious. And it never changes throughout the entire show. That is the dynamic they have throughout the entire show. They also adopt a little girl named Lily, who we get to watch grow throughout the show. And her entire character is how she's just super negative. She's super negative and doesn't care about like anything. And it's definitely because her parents are terrible people. She's got this very like hostile, negative energy to her, and it's like, this is clearly the worst family out of the bunch because of how deceitful they all are. They all lie to each other. When they're not being terrible and lying to each other, they're okay people, but most of the episodes are them lying to each other. So those are all the families of the modern family. And I gotta be honest, not following all of them is not fun. It's not interesting, it's not funny, it's just boring. For a show that is as long as it is, you would expect something. Some sort of growth, some sort of anything, besides literally watching the children grow, which is something. But it's not enough, because their characters remain almost the exact same, other than the fact that all the kids become very horny. I mentioned before that there was something with Haley I want to talk about in regards, I'm pretty sure it was the end of season 1 or season 2. It might have been season 1, might have been season 2, I can't remember. Haley basically decides to go off to college, and it's a very emotional episode. I remember watching it being like, this is actually a pretty good episode. It's basically about Phil and Claire accepting the fact that their daughter is going off to college. It's a very common thing that a lot of parents have to deal with, and I liked watching it. It was a very wholesome episode. I enjoyed it a lot. They immediately undercut it by it's literally the next episode after or like a few episodes after. Haley's kicked out of college and she moves right back in with her parents for the duration of the entire series. It is appalling that they just gave up on that so quickly. And Haley's character is not like meant for college, but this was back before she was like turbo dumb. She was dumb, but she was young, so it made sense. The fact that they just did not even try with her character is like, wow. And yes, she just lives with I'm not even joking, she literally lives with their family for the rest of the entire show. There's also a gag with her and her boyfriend. She meets a boyfriend in like season 1 who's like this cool kid with a jacket named Dylan. He keeps coming back as the show goes on, and I actually like Dylan a lot because just like Phil, he's very gullible dummy, and I actually really like Dylan. He's just a goofball. I tend to gravitate towards the goofier characters just because they tend to be a lot more innocent and like relatable and not as angry and spiteful towards each other, which I actually enjoy. Phil's dad, by the way, he is without a doubt my favorite character in the show. Whenever he was on screen, Phil's dad, Frank, I freaking loved him so much. He had this charm and infectious smile to him. And then eventually Haley and Dylan hook up, and then eventually they have twin babies, and you're like, whoa, that's a big character growth for them. It's nothing really. They just have kids now. It's not really anything special. It's just, oh, we have children now. We're still living in the house. But at the very end of the season, at the very end of the very last season, they're like, oh, you know what? We're gonna move. That's something I want to talk about is the finale. Spoiler alert, if you're gonna watch I doubt anyone watching this is ever gonna watch all of Modern Family, but if you do, I'm sorry, spoiler alert, here it comes. Up until the final last season, nothing is changing. There's like no status quo besides the fact that Haley has kids now. That's like all that's different. In the very last season, they start to establish some things. For instance, they have Mitch and Cam have another kid, and they're like, okay, things are kind of moving along, but then blah, blah, blah. Last 2 episodes close up the story like incredibly fast. They change, and all of a sudden now we have this finale to work towards. Rather than doing it subtly throughout the entire show and building it up, you're just like at the last minute like, oh, we gotta end the show. We'll switch everything around, make it all happen. It is so unfocused and just lazy. It felt gross. It felt like, why are you doing this? You could have much naturally worked it into 5 seasons rather than just doing any of this. Have the kids naturally start to go off on their own until eventually they're all kind of living on their own. That would have been a much natural resolution rather than having them all literally leave on the exact same day to go to a completely different place where they have this dumb scene where they're all gathered around hugging each other, crying, which is like, you want it to be emotional and a gut punch. I didn't cry. Not because I'm like too cool to cry. I didn't find it emotional because it felt so forced. It was like, what is the satisfaction of this? To be like, why am I supposed to feel sad here? Well, because they're just all forced to leave right now. I know that's how life can be sometimes, and I get that kind of meta narrative of, oh, life is random and crazy and it can change just like that. But it's just lazy writing in my opinion. Anything else? Not really. I think I've said my piece. So, I'd like to say right off the bat, this is very good water. But outside of that, if you enjoy Modern Family, all the power to you. I'm not saying that you don't have to like Modern Family. I'm not even saying that you don't have to like any of the shows that I was talking about earlier. That's not what this video is about. It's not me attacking you for liking something. It's just me explaining why I didn't enjoy this show. I watched this entire show and it was such a soulless experience for me, a soul-draining experience that left me by the end of it so bewildered and it's just like, why did I waste my time watching this? I never felt that way with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, or even something like Friends, which is pretty similar, but Friends still feels like there's more progression through it than something like Modern Family. I get what Modern Family was trying to do. It was trying to be a modern sitcom that lasted and proved and was really crazy successful. And I think for a while, I think it did do it. I'm pretty sure it won an Emmy at one point. Maybe won a couple Emmys. I don't know. There's good things in the show. It can be entertaining at times. I think the first couple seasons are alright. As per usual with a lot of shows, you're like, oh, the first couple seasons are okay. And then take a really downhill spiral. There were some decent jokes at first. And then it just kind of kept going and going and going. I think the biggest crime that Modern Family commits is the fact that every episode is like the exact same. The layout for most of the Modern Family episodes will be like this. Dunphy family has some sort of drama. Maybe there's drama in between each member of the Dunphy family, whatever. They all have their own thing. Pritchett family has their own dramas. Cam and Mitch have their own dramas. They go to a big event at Jay's house. and then they all kind of start bickering and talking behind their backs, and then eventually all of it comes out, and there's a big scene where they're all standing around and yelling at each other and blaming each other, and then Jay's like, or Jay or someone else is like, "We're family! We get through this together." And it gets old really fast once you've seen it 100 times. I'm not joking, it is like the resolution to most of the episodes in the series. Because they're a big family, and they argue and they bicker, but together they overcome. Or something like that. I don't know. I didn't like this show. Do you have to hate it? No. Do you have to like it? No. I don't know where I was going with this video. If you found this entertaining, I might do more like this in the future. Maybe. We'll see. You guys want to hear more thoughts on my sitcom knowledge? Feel free to leave a comment down in the comments. Thank you all, my little sugar mamas. I'll see you guys in the next video. What's it going to be? Is it going to be Renzo? Is it going to be Biorama? No. It's going to be